Hey guys, welcome back to Margot Watches Movies. My name is Jake Margot. Tonight we're reviewing episode 6 of The Lowdown on FX Hulu. This has been my favorite show currently on. I'm looking forward to it the most of any show I'm watching on a week-to-week basis. We pick up immediately where we left off from last week's absolutely stellar episode with Lee being kidnapped by police, ending up at this fever dream balls to the wall type of scene with these cops going crazy at this party and being greeted by Kyle MacLachlan's hopeful Governor Washburn. The episode picks off right there, and what we get is a bit of a de-escalation with a lot of intrigue, because you have this setup now where Kyle MacLachlan speaks to him. He mentions there is this street artist, his brother, the gentleman who, in the first episode, who seemed to have influenced him, and he is claiming he didn't actually believe he was murdered. He believed he was just influenced to pull the trigger himself. And it's hard to take that at face value, yet for some reason, I don't know if it's the performance of Kyle MacLachlan, if it's the screenwriter and the direction was hoping that you took it, but it came off somewhat sincere to me, which I found odd, because here I was thinking maybe Kyle MacLachlan was going to be the new bad of the show with the death of Alan from a few weeks prior. And for the most part, overall, before I get too much into the plot, I think this episode was very much a come down from last week. Yet, because we're in such confident hands, we're getting such a confidently told story here, so much of the plot is progressed in this episode. So many revelations occur. So many mysteries resolve themselves with further questions to be posed. But this is an episode to me that I don't think I liked as much as last week, but we get a lot of juicy plot details. We get a lot of finding out things that we, the viewer, have been wondering about since the first few episodes. So it's a good balance of that I think is building towards probably what should be a chaotic final 2 episodes. Now, we'll get into those revelations now. I think the 3 big ones here, and I'll kind of cover it on A, B, C. We'll start off with the question that was posed in my comments a few weeks back of who shot Alan. Well, we get that answer as we're introduced to a new threat, a new group of characters led by a pastor who is somehow able to convince Governor Washburn, future Governor Washburn, to drive out to this kind of rickety church, a very small looking church, and then proceed to drive him on property, reveal he is the buyer working with Akron Properties. We see the man that shot Alan walking behind him as Washburn recounts this to Keith David's character, saying he felt like he was threatened. So he calls Frank, the bearded gentleman working for Akron, who's the mediator between the other mysterious gentleman and the preacher. We get the revelation that this is the connection here. This is who's been buying up the land. They want the land that the Washburn owns, this church. And I say they're a church. They're very clearly like some type of white supremacist cult organization. Militia, militant type of group. And that was pretty interesting to me, because it's pretty late in the season to be introducing what appears to be the main antagonist of this season, but it was so deftly done. I didn't mind. I thought it was a riveting revelation. Forgive the alliteration and the rhyme. But we have that reveal. We have the whole storyline of Lee, along with the woman who works in the bookstore with him, trying to track down this street artist that Kyle MacLachlan told him about, who was in conversation with Donnie Washburn, the gentleman that unalived himself. finding out that this street artist and his grandpa revealed to the brother Washburn that did that actually uh, inherited the land from their ancestors, the street artist, and these are Native Americans, and the grandpa. We get the revelation that brother Washburn actually in his will before doing that, which it appears that's his motivation for unaliving himself, was to give them this land. I don't know if he knew the land grab was underway, but he does it and then he offs himself. So it seems like to me that was very much his motivation. And in the will, he leaves it to them. And Lee discovers this. And who does Lee call to let know? Because we have the other storyline, which is the widow who Lee slept with and has run to a kind of esoteric Eastern medicine like yoga retreat for white women in Oklahoma. He calls her. And once the phone calls ends and he's revealed to her that he gave her husband, her deceased husband, gave away the property in a will and names the two gentlemen he did it, she has zero hesitation. There's no lag. She immediately calls Frank and lets him know. And we can probably rest assured find out that this is one way getting back to either future Governor Washburn, or it's going to go to the church, the cult, the militia, whatever we want to call them. And I am worried about these two characters we were introduced to today, the street artist and his grandpa. So there's a lot of story, a lot of the winding elements and the mysteries weaving together in this episode. And it was a slower episode for me. And just because we get all these plot revelations, I still don't think that this was anywhere close to my favorite episode of the season. I still very much enjoyed it. This is a great show, but I have to hold it to the high standards of what has come before it and what I think is going to follow this episode, which I'm hopeful we get two amazing, a penultimate episode and finale that are amazing. I'm very confident that Starlin Narjo and the rest of the creatives are going to deliver us a satisfying conclusion. So with that all said, I think my rating tonight for this would probably be around 7.5, 7.8. I don't know if I've given below an 8 this season. But again, this was a lot of putting all the pieces in the story together, giving the audience enough revelations to carry intrigue into these final answers, like Betty Jo, the widow, calling Frank. So how much is she involved in? How nefarious is she? That's the call she's making. Was she possibly was in on the attempt on his life by the two white supremacist guys from the first episode who were revealed to be a part of that militia cult, which was another revelation. Alan was revealed to be a part of that militia cult as this pastor, this new character, threatens Frank in saying, Alan was like a brother to me. If I did that to a brother, what do you think I'll do to you? So everything that we've been questioning is finally starting to mesh. Yet there's still questions out there that linger. How is Lee going to weasel his way in or out of this? I don't know. I'm excited following this episode for next week. It wasn't my favorite episode of the season, despite the many advancements in story and plot that happened in an organic nature. It's great writing. It's great acting. Ethan Hawke is such a revelation in this show, and he's an amazing actor. But it's just really been nice to see him get to really dig his teeth into a character for 6, 7, 8 hours worth of development. It's awesome to me. So, best show on TV. Weaker episode tonight. In a sense, this is still much better than most of the things on right now. But just with how much quality there's been on this show, slightly weaker for me tonight. But still, I'm very much excited for the final 2 episodes. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Give me a like if you enjoyed the review. I'm always happy to have some new subscribers. Channel's growing little by little, but we'll see. But that's all for tonight, guys. This is Jake Margot with Margot Watches Movies. Appreciate you tuning in. And as always, we'll see you next time.